Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me once again. There is a lie being pushed by the mainstream liberal media, and it is about Israeli government stealing food from the Palestinians, from the Palestinian children, and starving them to death, or starving them rather. This is a lie, and I suspected it was a lie from day one. And I had a discussion with someone, well, not a discussion with them, but they had asked me what was my thoughts on this. They had basically been led to believe that the Israelis were stealing food from the Palestinians in Gaza. And I responded by saying that is a lie. It is Hamas doing that. That is propaganda. Well, now I have evidence, and I suspected it. I hadn't read up on it, but I knew in my heart I said the Israelis, they may have their faults, but that's certainly something that they wouldn't do. I just felt it in my spirit. And now I have an article that I want to read that I believe supports what I was feeling to begin with. And I want to show you guys this article. Okay. I want to show you this. And here it is. It's hard to see from here. So I want you, and I'm going to read some of this because I don't want anybody to think I'm making this up. Okay. I wish I could show it to you on a clip, but I don't have that software. And let's point this out too. This is coming from Breitbart News. Now, someone may argue. I'm going to put that as a front. Somebody may argue, well, it's coming from Breitbart News. That's a Jewish news site. Okay. And if you have, and are you going to argue that they're lying about this? This is Netanyahu. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. The president of the Israeli government. And these are his words that I'm going to read to you. And if people have some information that's proving that the Israeli government is stealing food from the people in the Palestinians in Gaza, then show me. But as I suspected, it's a big lie. Okay, so let's get right into this. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a forceful defense of Israel's conduct in Gaza on Monday, drawing parallels between contemporary anti-Israeli accusations and the medieval blood libels that preceded centuries of Jewish persecution. This is important we understand that because what the article, the preface here in this article is stating that these blood libels were essentially things that were created to lead to the persecution of the Jews. These were lies being placed on them. But let's go on. Blood libels that preceded centuries of Jewish persecution, while announcing that Israel has authorized airdrops of humanitarian aid to bypass Hamas' theft of food supplies. In a video statement delivered in English and posted on social media, Netanyahu directly confronted accusations that Israel is deliberately starving Palestinian children, calling such claims a barefaced lie, just what I suspected, and placing them in the historical context of anti-Semitic propaganda that culminated in the Holocaust. And these are apparently his words. And they took the video down. Of course they would, because I was going to let you guys listen to an audio of it. But of course they took it down. Of course, this is what happens when you have on social media, when everything is on the internet, stuff is on the internet. The algorithms can take it out when they want to. See, a hard copy, they can't do that. But anyway, in the Middle Ages, all the massacres against Jews were preceded by horrible vilifications, Netanyahu stated. The lies that were leveled against the Jews spread around the globe. We were poisoning the wells. We were carriers of disease. We slaughtered Christian children in order to drink their blood. And this spread from country to country and created massacre after massacre, culminating in the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust, in which 6 million innocent Jews were led to their slaughter. The Israeli leader emphasized that, end quote. The Israeli leader emphasized that, quote, Today, the Jewish state is facing similar vilifications, end quote, as international critics accuse Israel, get this now, as international critics, right, accuse Israel of deliberately causing starvation in Gaza. Netanyahu countered these accusations with concrete figures stating that, quote, since the beginning of the war, we have let in almost 2 million tons of food. 2 million tons of food for Palestinian civilians, Palestinian children. That's a lot of food. However, Netanyahu revealed that Hamas has been systematically stealing humanitarian aid intended for Palestinian civilians. And this is what I told this individual. I said, it's Hamas that's doing this. They're stealing the food from their own people. Stop believing everything the mainstream media but anyway, we're going to go on. These people lies, man. They lie. What are you going to do with liars? Quote, that's been our policy, but in the last few months, this humanitarian aid has been interdicted by Hamas looting. They steal the food from their own people, he explained. To circumvent Hamas's theft of aid supplies, Netanyahu announced that Israel has implemented new measures. Quote, so we've decided to go around. I have authorized the Israeli Air Force to airdrop humanitarian food and medical supplies to Palestinian civilians, he stated, adding that Israel has, quote, invited other countries to join their airdrops, and many have. The airdrops began over the weekend with Israel's military announcing the operation Saturday night. The IDF reported facilitating what it called the largest airdrop yet of humanitarian aid from 6 different countries as of August 1st. Netanyahu also announced the establishment of, quote, safe corridors through which these trucks can travel without being looted by Hamas or endangered by combat activity, and indicated that Israel is discussing, quote, further steps to alleviate any possibility of hunger or the appearance of hunger with American officials. The prime minister framed Israel's military campaign as a liberation effort, stating, quote, we're committed to doing this, just as we're committed to free Gaza from the tyranny of these terrorists. Many Gazans come to us and they say, help us be free. Now, how can, look, this is what Netanyahu was saying. Now, unless somebody has conflicting information to rebuttal what I'm reading here, that this article is saying that he said, then let me know. But apparently, some of these Gazans, Palestinians, are coming to him and saying, you know what, we free us, because Hamas is an extremist terrorist group. When are people going to wake up and understand that? They don't care about Israel. They don't care about their own people. They care about power. This is what happens when you're hungry for power. You don't care about the people that you're supposed to be ruling. You claim that you're ruling. You don't care, but you care about power. And you'll do whatever you need to do to solidify that power. But let's go on. Help us be free of Hamas, of their terror, of their cruelty, of their tyranny. And that's what we will do. Wow. Netanyahu's historical comparison between modern day anti-Israel accusations and medieval anti-Semitic blood libels reflect growing Israeli frustration with what officials see as biased international media coverage, of course. Liberals. As Breitbart News reported last week, Israel challenged the New York Times to publish photos of emancipated Israeli hostages after major media outlets published images falsely purporting to be of starving Palestinian children that were in reality suffering from other medical conditions, forcing the New York Times to issue a correction to its front page photos once the truth emerged. Yeah, but you got it out there now. The lie's out there. This is what they do all the time. I detest the mainstream media. I detest them, man. I detest them. I really do. I really have no love for these people. None whatsoever. They are the perpetrators of all the division and confusion in our country and even in the world. It is the mainstream liberal media. They pose as your friends, but they're your enemies, man. I'm telling you. Anyway, let's read a little bit more of this. The blood libel accusation that Jews murder Christian children to use their blood in religious rituals was a reoccurring justification for programs and persecution throughout European history. The timing of Netanyahu's statement comes as Israel faces growing international condemnation over alleged Palestinian starvation in Gaza. Israeli officials have pushed back vehemently on such claims, maintaining there is no starvation in Gaza and that whatever bottlenecks in food distribution exist are being created by Hamas in its effort to loot humanitarian aid or by the United Nations incompetence, which they are. Israeli officials point out that the only people confirmed to be starving in Gaza are the 20 Israeli hostages who are thought to be alive among the 50 who still remain in Hamas captivity. Okay. In addition to authorizing airdrops, Netanyahu announced that Israel has designated safe corridors for aid trucks to travel, quote, without being looted by Hamas or endangered by combat activity, and indicated that Israel is discussing with American officials, quote, further steps to alleviate any possibility of hunger or the appearance of hunger. The prime minister emphasized Israel's dual commitment, quote, we're committed to doing this just as we're committed to free Gaza from the tyranny of these terrorists, okay? So that's the end of that article right there. Yes, it was an article I read. I couldn't show it, but I tried to show you that I'm not making it up, okay? And if anybody has any information that combats this or any way, let me know. But this is what's going on. This is what's going on. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to read that for you guys to know what's going on, that it was a big lie from the beginning, okay? And if this video cuts off, that's because I don't know what's wrong with my computer. It just can't seem to hold any more space. Everything is going on with these stupid technology nowadays, man. But anyway, yeah. And I blame the mainstream liberal media for the most part. I don't know of any conservative media sources in the mainstream area that is actually doing this. I know Fox News, from what I understand, is giving a rebuttal to this accusation that the Israelis are starving Gazan children there. I think I saw a couple of videos on Fox News reporting that information. So, but Fox News Fox News is, there aren't that many conservative mainstream news outlets to show you the other side. That's why I try to tell people, let people know, look, man, look, you got to go beyond what the mainstream liberal media is telling you because they pose as your friend. Let me say this and I'm gonna close this video. Hopefully this don't shut off. And I blame the liberal establishment for this. I blame the left. Because they're the ones that support all of this extremist stuff. They do. And somebody might read that as, well, you don't like liberals. You don't like. No, that's not what it is. When I say the liberal, I'm talking about the leftist establishment in politics and in entertainment and in news media and all that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the upper echelons of the liberal leftist establishment, not regular people that walk the streets, okay? Because some of them are some cool people. Except the wackos, the activists out there that's about as dumb as a box of rocks. They don't know what's going on. Not them nutbags, but regular liberals I have no problem with, okay? But let me say this. I have a lot of respect for, well, I won't say a lot of respect, but I respect people who come right out and say, I don't like you. This is what I mean. And it's going to sound like a contradiction. It's going to sound real, but I respect the KKK. I respect the skinheads and all the so-called race hate groups that are non-black. I respect it. Now you say, somebody say, man, Mr. Bowler, what are you talking about? You crazy. You talking crazy. No. You know what I respect them? I respect them because they tell you right on the back they don't like you. You beneath them. You're less than them. And they're in your face. They want you to be sure that they don't like you. They're not coming to you, they're not coming to you in any other kind of way. They're coming to you saying, we don't like you because we believe you're inferior to us because of your skin color. You're inferior to us in this way. You're inferior to us in that way. And in that's what I mean by respecting them. I don't like them and agree with them, but I respect their honesty. They're real with me. I know where they're coming from when they approach me, so I know how to avoid them. But the left, just like Malcolm X said, Malcolm X, the most pro-black person in the Nation of Islam at the time, said, and I'm paraphrasing his words, he says, the liberals come to you, the liberals and the left come to you posing as your friends. We're here to help you. We're here to do this, you did. When all along, they're just trying to use you as leverage to get power. The liberal establishment don't give a flat doo-doo about black people, about anybody. All they want is power and control. That's what they want. They pose as your friends, but they're snakes. They're Satan in the Garden of Eden. Just like they're deceiving people in the past, they're deceiving people now by pushing this propaganda that the Israelis are starving children in Gaza. I knew it was a lie from the beginning, and I found out it was. And I knew it was a lie. I knew it was a lie. Because Israelis in their place may have their faults, but I don't believe in all. They sit up here purposely starving a bunch of children in Gaza. Get out of here, man. Go somewhere with that bull crap. And the mainstream liberal leftist Looney Tune media is pushing this kind of stuff, and they're keeping the division going. Our country is being taken over by communists, by progressives, by liberals, by the left, by socialists, by Marxists, by extremist groups. We better wake up. We better wake up and get the truth. Because we're constantly being divided amongst ourselves. And the main culprit, once again, is the mainstream media. It's the mainstream media. So I just wanted to give that information, guys. You know, it's a big lie. And I know I'm probably not going to get that many hits with this video. Probably, I don't want to hear about that. But I wanted to talk about it because I felt like it needed to be talked about. And I feel like that if this individual was watching, I hope you watch this video and you will find out that that's a big lie. It supports what I believed in my gut a long time ago. And now I have an article here from Breitbart News that I read to you that is true. I read it to you. I didn't make it up. And you know I won't make nothing up like that. I won't lie. Okay? You got to stop watching the mainstream liberal media. Or rather, put it to you like this. You just don't just watch the mainstream liberal media. Let me correct that. Okay? Because you need to know where your enemies are coming from. You need to know what your enemies are representing, what they're trying to do, and what they're trying to plan to do. Because the liberal establishment is our enemies. I just believe they are. I believe, based on my studies, and I've been studying communism for the longest, that the left is a soft form of communism. They want the same thing that the old communists wanted, but they just want it in a different way. They want it through legislation. So they use deception and manipulation and propaganda to do it. And the mainstream media has been infiltrated by communists. It's been this way for decades, dude. Wake up and smell the coffee, man. Not you guys. I'm just saying in general. You guys are watching this. Wake up. They have infiltrated every part of our institutions since the 1920s. They are purposely dividing us. This is not fake. This is not propaganda. I'm not lying. I've been studying this stuff. This stuff is highly documented. We got to know what's going on. We have to understand and see the division that's being propped up in every area, in our schools, in our homes, and even in our churches. You done got these communists have infiltrated the religious factions. Now you got pastors accusing people of being accused white people in establishments that aren't black for being racist. Foolish stuff, and it's not even true. Foolish stuff. Lies straight from the pits of hell. You calling yourself a pastor, a leader, and you sitting up here because you upset that your food wasn't right, or you didn't like it, whether your food wasn't the way you liked it. So you accuse this restaurant and make horrible accusations about this restaurant being racist against black people. Some of you guys probably heard about that. Watch Brandon T. Tatum. It's on his, he had pictures of it. Yeah. He talked about it, but I just want to speak on that for a minute because I believe I know where a lot of this stuff is coming from. And this guy claims to be a pastor, and he sits up here and lies. So Brandon T. Tatum did an investigation, an independent investigation, and interviewed the owners of that restaurant, and found out it was a big fat lie. That ain't what happened. But because people like this pastor, quote unquote pastor, is being inundated by communism and Marxism, everybody is, that's in my opinion, everybody is racist. Everybody, if you don't get things the way you want it as a black person, if everybody don't coddle to you, and if everybody don't woo-woo you, and if everybody don't feel you, and if everybody don't understand you, if they don't have the same skin tone, they racist against you. stupid, ignorant nonsense. It's a lie.